Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Hello, good evening, welcome to Rangers Radio. John, myself, Fox here on the show tonight is the one and only GB, and hopefully we'll be joined by Port shortly. Evening, GB.
Good evening, Oxshire. Hope you can hear me loud and clear, mate.
Loud and clear. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Good, mate.
How you doing, mate? How you doing? How are you enjoying the sunshine?
Oh, mate, love it. I mean, it's just a good time of year when the sun comes out into it. It's the views are amazing out there these days.
You've got to watch at your age, mate. You're at a dangerous age.
I know, you're teetering, mate, aren't you? You're teetering at that age.
Be expensive, mate. That's what it could be.
True. Mate. I know, good. It's been busy in my kind of life now, mate, and the big weeks are upon us, mate.
Yes, aye. I just think the day it could have been, with obviously the ties getting played for the semi-finals getting played, I think, it could have been, but they weren't really close. But you can't help but think, GB, yeah.
I know, and I think it's because as well we've been there, Ox, so soon before, so like there was that kind of notion as the will of the fans, that atmosphere, that drive to get to another final in us again so soon. So I totally get that, mate. And to be fair, we nearly did do it, especially the kind of first tie. We hung in there, but the second tie, I think we've spoken about it, Ox, that we kind of just shot ourselves in the foot a wee bit. I honestly think in a better time, in a better bit of form, we could have scraped through that time, mate.
Well, you never know. All our butts and maybes now, but I couldn't help but think. So you're looking forward to the game at the weekend, mate?
Yep. I mean, I've seen various reports, Ox, that it's a dead rubber, it's a meaningless game and stuff like that. But do you know, on the back of us doing really well in all firms recently, and these players have got a point to prove going into this game, and possibly our new owners might be sitting in the stands this weekend as well. I think there is actually a lot in this game, Ox. I think what it says that across the road will be really chopping at the bit to get a result. And for ourselves, I think if we get it, then it just keeps putting that doubt across the city as well. That if we get our house in order, then there's a team there that's going to be able to challenge next season.
I think we're in limbo, if I'm being honest, mate. Yeah, we've talked about it a lot in the last few nights and the last few weeks. We're just waiting to see what happens, aren't we? We're all desperate for news, every snippet, every announcement, every wee bit. Breaking news, and there's nothing really being said, Somebody's painting a road marking on the road and everybody thinks that somebody's arriving,
I got to admit, I was selfishly hoping after we seen the clips the other night with them getting the stadium tour and stuff like that, that tonight was going to be the night, mate, that they would actually announce it. I had a feeling that it was going to be something like the 1st of May that they would come out with that announcement, but it looks as though there is going to be more to this story to come, mate. But I was kind of like, it says when you started seeing them wondering about the stadium, the recently released statement, then I was thinking, well, maybe it's got to be sooner rather than later. Might still be the case, Ox, but like I says, I was kind of actually hoping it was going to be the day, and then we would have had plenty to talk about tonight.
All right, is that what it was? What's your take on it, mate? What's your thoughts on it? Have you get any concerns, or you just seen it as a positive light?
I think the way we've been in the last few seasons, Ox, I think we've needed some sort of freshness, round about the club, some fresh ideas, new investment, and maybe new guys with a bit of drive. So I'm really excited about it. My only concern is that we may get thrust into the modern era, and I think a lot of maybe the fan groups and stuff like that are still stuck in the old traditions, and I think we've got to kind of strike a bit of balance. We've got to move with the times, but still keep a hold of the main traditions of Rangers as well. Like I say, I think a few folk have touched on like naming rights to certain places, how they can expand the stadium, and then obviously if they've got full power, then they can obviously do what they want. Ox, they don't really need to listen to any other boardroom members if they've got full control of the club. So there's just the wee kind of concerns, but for what I can see, for what they've done with, like say, Leeds and other clubs, I've not seen them get ripped apart and their fans like shouting at the front doors or anything like that. So I'm hoping that these guys are ready to take on one of the biggest clubs in world football, mate.
Oh, but one of the biggest things in world football, well, it used to be, but we'll be joined by Port Bear, I hope. Evening, Port. Not yet. No, the boys are trying hard to get him in. Oh, hopefully that's him now. Evening, Port. Oh, he's even
You're on mute, Port.
Aye, he's well prepared, isn't he? I get it, mate. I get it. Well, it's going to be interesting. It's going to give us lots to talk about. I'm looking forward to it. Yes. But hopefully, Port Bear will be with us now when he comes off mute. Evening, Port.
All right, mate. How we doing?
All right, mate. All right. Somebody's rustling, if you don't mind. Right. How you, Port? All right, mate.
Hi, mate. Good. All good, mate.
Good. We were just touching on the takeover. What's your take on it? And before I go back to GB,
Still very excited, mate. But when we've seen the footage of the troops get the stadium tour and stuff, and STV News are trying to get a wee sort of information at them. But I was actually quite glad they kept tight-lipped, mate. But it's when I seen that, mate, that just drove the excitement even further, and I think gives further proof and further hope to us that it's a wee bit closer as well, mate. So I absolutely buzzing, mate.
Mm-hmm. So he's buzzing, you're buzzing. The general consensus is looking forward to it then, GB.
Aye, Ox, especially like see all the captions or the American songs. I seen the Living in America the other day there, and they're all saying that should be again, man. When we come out next season, should have the big American hat on and that coming out, welcoming the Americans to Ibrox and stuff like that. So I think there's got to be fun with it as well, Ox. I think we're going to get a bit of entertainment with the new owners. I think they'll make the fan experience and the day out, I think, a lot more enjoyable. It will not just be the case of turning up and trying to grab 3 points. I think you will actually be able to, in time, I think, go there and make an actual day out of it.
I think that's a long way off, but obviously the first thing you have to get right. Pat, is there any truth in the rumour that you two are interviewing the cheerleaders?
Well, I did try for the Dallas ones, the Dallas Cowboys, but fortunately they're unavailable.
Yeah. What?
Yes, mate. Certainly, we will be holding trials very shortly, mate. And me and Gary on the sort of, your X Factor panel. If you want to join, mate, we'll get Fox on as well.
All right. Have you got a golden buzzer, Port?
I've got a golden something, mate. I'll be a buzzer.
Golden shower.
No, GB. You should know better. Just think if Mrs. GB or Mummy GB was listening to that, Port Bearer.
Oh, we get a slap in the wrist, so he would get a slap in the wrist.
Yes. GB, tut.
I've not been to HR in a while, so apologies.
Oh, drug testing Monday.
Yes. You might get sent to Guantanamo Bay. Right.
Oh, you was hung, drawn, and quartered.
Yes.
What be your sell-ups? I'm
looking forward to it, mate. I think we need. I'll keep it simple. I think we need fresh ideas, yeah?
Aye,
Yeah.
aye.
Simple as that, mate, and drive us forward. And maximise, get the fans back on side. I'm not saying the fans are offside, but get some positivity back. But to do that, Port, you can make the hot dogs as big as you like, but the team's got to be winning that.
Aye, and I think Oxford, not only these are no mugs, by the way, when it comes to sport, and we all know Americans make the fan experience bigger, brighter, bedazzle, everything, mate. You know what they're like for the fan experience, but the most important product, mate, is a footballing product on the pitch. It's all right getting all the stuff right, all in the stadium and in the stands, half-time match, the pre-match, after-match experience, etc., etc. But we have to get that. Steinson's got a bit of a job to find as a manager. That has to be corrected as well. The squad has to be corrected. That current squad needs a bit of help, mate, if we're totally honest. And if you start getting that all right, mate, if you get it all right, there's a lot of things, Oxford, that could just fall into place lovely, in my opinion. I'm even thinking outside the box, what red, white and blue is our colours. It's the same colour as the American flag, so the things could be done along that sort of line as well, bringing a sort of maybe another further fan base. We've got fans all over America, you know what I mean? So, the whole, the rumours going about with Red Bull and all that carry on. Again, that gives me another wee sort of buzz as well. I've seen it on the Leeds top. I've seen some of the mock-up tops that the Rangers ones going about with the Red Bull logos in the front as well. I think there's opportunity to, this might, the older, more seasoned fan might not like what I'm going to say here, but, they could be renaming the stadium Red Bull Stadium, the training ground at Oxford.
Would that worry you, Port?
No,
worry you?
Not me at all.
What would you call it? What would you still call the stadium?
Red Bull Arena.
No, but if I say I'm going to meet you, where am I going to meet you?
Ibrox. It'll always be Ibrox, mate. It'll always be Ibrox. No matter what you call us, mate. Even if you call us Red Bull Rangers, I support Glasgow Rangers, mate. And we're going to meet at Ibrox Stadium on a Saturday or a Sunday, or a Thursday night. Or hopefully eventually a Tuesday and a Wednesday night. You know what I mean? So no, mate, I'm buying fully into what these guys can bring. They've got a lot of backing, mate, a lot of financial clout, and it's well overdue to a club your size, mate, having that sort of financial backing. Not only the backing, obviously, it's not just the money that's important, it's the type of guys that's going to be running the club. And a lot of people will say, but they're not footballing guys, they're businessmen. So is the rest of the big clubs in, the Premier League Oxford. Even look at Burnley, Birmingham City, Wrexham. Just look at these American rich guys have done to these clubs. Where they're taking them on a journey. Leeds as well. I mentioned them earlier on. These clubs are going on a journey, mate. Liverpool's a massive example, mate, how well they've done under American ownership. Again, businessmen own the club because they get the product right on the pitch and they get the product right in the boardroom level, mate. So there's a lot to be excited about, mate, because there's no, maybe people will argue about the Man United projects no went great under the Glazers, but I think in football,
part of the problem has been recruitment, mate. You get that right, you always struggle.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. I was about to say that, and I just think they've not employed well when it comes to getting information, from like we've got the guy Steinson who's doing all the sort of backroom work for managers, etc. Director of football's in place, so we are starting to lay the bricks and foundations in the background to get that right first of all. And then they'll work on the manager, and then they'll work on the playing staff when the manager's finally in place, in my opinion, mate. And you've just got to be, like I keep saying on the show, mate, that patience. We just have to be patient with this, mate.
I think GB, I think you need a bit of luck, mate. You're going to sign players, and I mean, even the best players, it's hit and miss, isn't it?
Aye, Ox. And again, we're not going to be able to go and just shop in Premier League markets overnight.
Breaking news, mate. Breaking news.
Oh?
Yes, breaking news. You have to go to HR when the tune's on. Carry on.
Will do. Yellow card. I'll take it.
I think the yellow card's getting kept to the drawer. Carry on.
Where were we? What were we talking about there with the owners?
He's thrown him.
He's panicking.
I'm panicking about this yellow card now. The owners and we're talking about player recruitment and stuff like that. So for me, Ox, this is overnight. We're just not going to be starting to buy like Premier League level players. what I do think though is
Do we need to
again,
buy? Do we need to buy that level for where we are and what we're trying to achieve?
no, but I do think we need to buy ready-made, Ox. I think it's all right having a nice wee balance and maybe a good prospect. Like say for talking since we had a good solid team and you brought in a Diamandi, then aye, that's good. But we can't have a team full of Diamandis. And that's, I think, what our issue is. We've got too many boys that are still, they're good, but they're still needing time to bed in. And especially this season coming, I think we're needing seasoned pros. I can remember Gerrard's first season, and most of the signings we brought in, Ox, were all experienced pros, guys that had played at a decent level. And when you look at even Leeds and stuff like that, a lot of their good players are relatively unknowns at the front. And I think hopefully we can tap into, like, between our scouting system and hopefully recommendations for this consortium, then hopefully we will find, like I says, the level of player that we're going to need to at least challenge Ox. That's what we're looking for.
I'm not saying we shouldn't take Premier League players, but when you talk about Premier League players, you're talking about Premier League prices. And it's mental, so I can't, we will not be paying that wages, yeah? But it doesn't mean we can't get quality, yeah?
No, if you look, what GB's touched on, if you look at Gerrard's first few signings they brought to the club, again, not major experience like a Joe Aribo, Ryan Kemp, Glenn Kamara, David Dundee, but all relatively, I'm not going to say novices, but played at a decent level down in England, but maybe not reached the fully professional heights of somebody like Glasgow Rangers. But as you touched on next year, there was luck involved. These guys worked out. These guys come in, bought into what Gerrard was, selling, and delivered on the pitch. Kamara was, great, 50 grand. Joe Aribo, again, not major money. Ryan Kemp was obviously serious money. But they delivered next year, and they delivered almost immediately for Gerrard. So that's the sort of luck I think you're talking about, and that's sort of luck we'll need again, mate. We'll need that again.
I like Big Joe.
Oh, I did, mate. Oh, yeah, man. What a player. What a player.
I like Big Joe. In fact, if Scott Wright would have stopped that cross, I might have had Big Joe's babies. It would have won 1-0 for all.
I think we would all have Gravion's Colt, or Aribo, mate, or Joe or something. But his name would be folklore, mate. It definitely would have.
I did. Listen, he'd done a few different positions, and what about that goal? Remember that goal against Braga, mate? Yeah, outstanding.
Yeah. It was always that touch, the touch over his right shoulder, over his left shoulder, and he used to bring it down for them long diagonals, and just, absolute glorious player to watch, mate. He was. I
liked him, but I don't think he went to the right team for him to flourish there. The other yo-yo team maybe was hoping to come to the fore and get another move, but obviously it's no work for him, I watched that playoff game last season. It was Southampton and Leeds, actually. And it was Kamara against Aribo. It was interesting. I actually think Kamara was getting the better and Leeds took him off. But there you go. That was just my take on it. Big Joe. Liked him. GB, I did.
He was starting to get really good with the headers at the front post with the wee flick on, wasn't he? That, definitely a couple of them helped us get to the 55 as well. Would you revisit that, Ox? Any of the players that's left?
I think we've got to watch it. We'll be asking John Gregg if he wants again. You know what I mean?
I know. Hey, by the way, some of them we could get.
If you get a manager and the scouting staff and they want a player and they think that this guy is the guy to do it, yeah. If you're supporting the manager and he thinks this guy's going to help us, well, you've got to support him. So you might get in personal views, but recruitment's down to the scout and the manager or the sporting director, whoever's got the final say, or the collective. But if they want him and they think he's going to do a job, well, why not? I don't see it happening, but I'm just saying anybody. I'm not afraid to go back. GB.
No, and it's worked for us. Let's face it. We've had Davis and stuff like that.
Barry Ferguson himself.
Aye, that's right.
Alan McGregor.
Aye. Lafferty to a certain extent as well.
Loudon never left and come back, mate. Come on, Port, keep up. The first one I remember was a famous one. Colin Steen, he left and come back. And then the next one would have been Gordon Smith, maybe. There might have been others, but that's. And then, yeah, Jimmy Nicholl. There you go. I don't think you would get any of these three, would you?
No chance,
Nope.
mate. No.
Oh, Jimmy
Definitely
Nicholl,
not.
1982.
Many were successful, Ox. Many of them came back and actually lifted silverware. Do you know?
Well, Colin Steen scored the goal that won us the 75 league title. Gordon Smith come back on loan and played. Come back on loan and they played in a cup final. I think he came the Friday night, played in the cup final, maybe 3 games. Don't think it worked out. Jimmy Nicholl was ways before and left, and then come back. As soon as I worked out for him, Jim Baxter, also before that, it was past his best, you know.
Kenny Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard Goff done it. Yeah. Dave McPherson done
Oh,
it.
that's right. Aye.
Aye. Yeah.
McPherson.
I think
Yeah,
there's a
I'm trying
time
to
and a
think,
place
you
for it,
know.
Ox, yeah. I think there's
What's
a time
that,
and a
mate?
place for it. I think there's a time and a place for it. I think
Aye.
there is definitely a time and a place, you know, especially maybe like say for, you know, bedding in further new players and you're looking for, you know, you're looking for a bit of experience to come in and somebody that's been at the club, somebody that's got that experience. I think that's a good time to use guys like that, you know, if they want to come back and they've still got that same drive. I'm not saying you'd bring in, you know, one that's over the hill, but we're talking about Joe Rebo here. I mean, he's not exactly over the hill, is he? You know, and I dare say if you say he's going back to the championship again, you know, if somebody offered him that chance, you know, would you want to come to this new project at Ibrox? You know, it's bigger, better, flashier, etc., etc. I don't think the big man would, if he was given an opportunity, I don't think he would knock it down. I really don't.
I'm
When it comes
interested
to
in
all
Rick
experience,
Rangeley trying to think of others that done it. You just carry on, chat amongst yourselves. So there's been a few done it. I mean, they were all names. Baxter, Steen.
Mhm.
You know, you have to check out the honours that Dave McPherson won. It would really frighten you. He was on the show a while ago.
Yeah.
A year ago. The medals that guy won. Fantastic, mate.
good servant, Ox, yeah.
Oh, mate.
Good
Aye.
servant.
Sort of unsung hero sort of type, you know. Played with good players, but got in the team every week, you know. So the manager rated him.
Another one, probably another recent one for your time, GB, Kenny Miller.
Oh,
you know,
aye.
Away, you know, he came away, come back, and had a couple of successful times.
All Bear's gone nuts. His text is McGregor and Davis, but we've already done them all. Bear, keep up.
Laugh at it as well.
And we've done him as well. Come on, GB, you keep up as well. We know you're nervous because Fox get the big cane out, but yeah. Aye, so there's been a few, mate.
There's been a few. It's happened.
Kenny Miller, Chris Boyd.
Yeah.
There you go.
Aye, in their own moments, Ox, wasn't it, as well? I mean, they all came back, like, you think about it, us getting out of the championship and stuff like that was a big thing as well. We needed players to come back and help us get back into the top league and stuff like that. So they all played a part, I mean, to get us back to where we are now. It's been a horrendous journey, but we've had our ups, we've had our downs, we've had an up again, and I really think whenever these announcements come, Ox, and the manager and stuff like that, I just hope we go in an upward spiral. I mean, I think we need, as Port says, we do need some patience. I've got a funny feeling, Ox, that the new owners will be a bit more relaxed about the first season than what us as Rangers fans will be. I think their expectations will be a bit lower than what we are expecting. I think as his fan base, just personally in my opinion, I think we'll be expecting to challenge and push Celtic right close next season.
But why shouldn't they? If you take this season, if we beat St Mirren and beat Motherwell, Yeah. The league's so different, mate. And come on, if we're going to spend a few quid, we can't achieve that. We've got the wrong people selecting the players. And that's the gap. That's where the gap comes from. Well, you know, you take them, and we've also dropped 5 points up to a dreadful Aberdeen team that between the two games again, us hardly scored a goal or won a point. Hardly won a point. But they managed to take 5 points off us at Pittodrie.
See, to be honest, the thing that why I'm thinking that is that, see, remember that video that was released in January, originally at Clermont, and it was Patrick Stewart saying possibly that they'll give Clermont the following next season. You just need to give them that, like, no matter what happens from January to the end of the season, they were thinking, oh, it's all right, we'll give them next season anyway. Like, if that's the kind of mindset.
Queen's Park changed everything, mate. The manager, rightly or wrongly, the manager carries it can.
No, I agree, Ox, but the mindset, even with their bad results and drunk to St Mirren's and stuff like that, I mean, let's face it, this new owners and stuff like that have had some sort of influence, even though things have not been signed off. I just think that they'll be a bit more relaxed about if we're no challenging.
So, with the teams that people left, we've got a goalkeeper, Alan McGregor, Dave McPherson, Richard Goff, did we mention? And the defenders. Was there others? I can't remember. Then midfielders, we've got Jim Baxter, Gordon Smith, Colin Steen up front with Kenny Miller. Not a bad team there with people that's left and come back starting out there. Maybe see if I can get 11. What about Stephen Davis in it? Stephen Davis, the midfield with Jim Baxter.
Barry Ferguson,
that's not a bad midfield, is it?
It would get by, mate. It would get its by.
Yeah, Stephen Davis, Barry Ferguson, and Jim Baxter.
Aye. Just that'd be amazing, mate. That'd be amazing.
You know, aye. Interesting. Might be big. These phone lines opened there.
Aye, be interesting to hear if any of the troops have got any others that they've remembered that have been away and come back. It'll be interesting to see what the troops have got to say about that as well, mate. Yeah.
They better phone in. They've only got 27 minutes left to talk to GB.
I heard there's a petition starting to save me, mate.
There is. There is. There's 3 signatures on it. Oh dear. Right, okay. Listen, get yourself a mute and let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Aye, I get your point about going back. We'll see what happens, mate. You know, we'll see what happens. Who's going to come? Port, we talk about it a lot, and the players have had a lot of flack, and maybe this is not the time as we build up in the game against them, but somebody played at a decent level, what's your priority, mate? You're the man, you're sitting there, the managers come in the door and you're sitting, right, this squad's broke a bit, we need X in. How are you prioritising it, mate?
I'd both fair back, mate. Definitely back. More or less the spine of the team I'm replacing, mate. And I think that's always a great place to start. So, you know, I think we could get away with the 2 goalkeepers we've got for next season. I still think they're good enough, mate. I think we've had a bit of off form for Big Butland. But I think, again, we could save a bit of money and let him go and rebuild again, get a pre-season under him. You know,
is this not the time to sell him with 2 years of his contract left, mate?
Well, there's a possibility to cash in on him, mate. That's a fact. That's an absolute fact. But it's like his stock's probably dropped a wee bit, mate, in my opinion. So
he had the stock in his hand and he dropped it, mate.
Aye, no, I understand what you're saying, mate. I know, and we made mistakes previously at not selling when the strike when iron's hot sort of idea, and not selling the right times. So he could. Listen, there'll be clubs after him. The clubs will still take Jack Butland. Jack Butland's a decent goalkeeper, mate. Let's be honest, and he's still well thought of down the road. So that'd be my first sort of port of call through the spine. 2 centre halves. I think it's a must, and I think Bridgeman always goes on about it, but I do agree with him. We have to get robust centre halves, mate, that only made of chocolate and can stand up to the rigours of football in Scotland. I think, as much as I want Probert to be a success, he's not built for our game, mate. He just suited so much to the Dutch style, that football and centre back, but he doesn't put his body where it hurts, mate. He doesn't fill me with confidence in there, etc. So, like I said, I'd be looking for a couple of tanks, a couple of machines that only made of chocolate that'll.
You mean the Crystal Palace players?
Aye. There you go, mate. Yep. I just want guys that go and win the ball, mate, and aren't bullied. And the same in midfield. I think it's already having a bit of class in midfield, somebody get their foot on the ball and dictate games. Yes, we need that, but again, I still think we need my favourite people, the water carriers in the team. We need the guys that's going to get in there and put their body on the line, win challenges, break the ball up, and just, again, a destroyer, mate, an absolute battler in there. That's what I want to see. And then we need a Alan McCoy / Chris Boyd number 9. We need somebody that's going to guarantees. And people will say Dessers has scored these 20 goals, mate, but I want somebody that's going to guarantees 25 to 30 goals a season. And I don't think that's a big ask to ask any Rangers striker with the amount of chances we create in a game, mate. I really don't. So by the spine of the team for me, mate, and then the rest can take care of itself. But the biggest want has got to be the character of the player. As I said before, mate, it's the minerals. It's not just, you can be a great player, mate, you can be a good player, but if you've not got the minerals to play in your league and play for Glasgow Rangers, mate, all that can fall down instantly.
By the way, AK's message this Bolly Johnston, somebody else that we're away and come back, mate.
He's a certain vintage, mate, yep. Some boys are showing their age for that one.
Come on, there's a song there, Barcelona, 1972. Come on, you must know that one.
I know the song. Yeah.
Aye, well, the two of them left and come back after that, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Aye, that's
So
no bad forward line. Lee Budd playing in either wing. Kenny Miller supporting Colin Steen. Yeah.
There you go.
We're looking for one more defender. Or maybe left back. We'll get McPherson and Goff. Thinking hard now. Mm-hmm. I get your point, mate. I mean, that coach is for Crystal Palace, mate. He's got them in that FA Cup final and a decent run of form. He was in the opposition in Seville, and they had some decent results. And obviously, we could have beat them. There wasn't much between the teams. Obviously, went to penalty kicks. I think they might have shaded it in points in hindsight, but we could have had a knockout blow if Scott Wright would have stopped across. That's my view.
Is that the sort of football that excites you? Because you see that I'm just going to use an example. Obviously, the boy Glasner was the Frankfurt manager in the final. Again, German type of football. Is that the sort of football that does it for you? Is that sort of manager you like to see at the club? Because obviously there's two Germans been linked with the club. Their names have been about social media all week. And the two of them do excite me.
Aye, I'm looking for a left back, by the way. I forgot about Jimmy Nicholl. Big Goff, Dave McPherson, right? And I'm looking for somebody to play left back. I'm scratching my head at the moment, right? Listen, when I watched after I watched the game on Saturday, I actually thought that if I'd have been having a punt, I might have took Villa. And they were lucky it wasn't double figures, mate. That team just blew them away. And it was all literally pace and power, mate. And guys that are maybe competed against PSG, beat PSG, remember? That team beat PSG, some people's favourites for the Champions League. And Crystal Palace just blew them away, mate. The speed and the movement, mate. It's not everything, GB, but if you've got people that can move like that, it's hard to defend against. No, that's because sometimes you get an open game of football and you can counter-attack. We can't, well, most of the games we play particularly, they're all sitting in, so the pace is getting nowhere to go, but that's a big asset, GB. Yeah?
It's a must, Ox. Any time that we have had a team that's got pace and power up front, then we have blown teams away. Like in recent times with Gerrard and stuff like that, we were sitting most times on this show after games and we're talking about 4-0 results. And that was because we annihilated either of them in the first half or, let's say, over the game. It was like, let's say, a 4-0 result, 5-0 result sometimes. Don't get me wrong, we had our kind of shaky moments as well, but there were still goals in the team of multiple players, Ox, and that's again it was coming for the wings. It was coming. We always went down the left and the right, and it was a close in or let's say a square, and it was Hadji always cutting in and stuff like that. All that kind of stuff. We've been badly missing, like you say, pace and power up front, Ox, because these Scottish teams, most of them, they're well organised. But like you say, see if you can get tricky players with a bit of pace and power and you panic them, you panic these Scottish defences, Ox, then, like I say, you get your results. I think, to be honest, and I hate to say it, in recent times when you've seen how Ange played against most of the SPFL teams, Ox, that's what you need to do. You need to blow them away in the first half. And then, all he done was pace and power. That Maida and all that, doing the wings, that's all they were doing.
Put the ball in the net. You know?
You've got a wee guy up, let's say, if we had a wee Nacho Novo, you'd be eating up half of the chances for breakfast, you mean? So, and it was the same what they were doing with that Kyogo. They were just putting him up front and he was getting tap-ins.
No, Novo wasn't as prolific as you think, mate. Yeah. But what he was a grafter, and he didn't always play up top. He played a lot of games wide right. But he was a grafter, mate. I'll have a look at his stats. But he wasn't prolific. But listen, the natural his peak, mate, would have been beginning this team was doing, no doubt about it. You know, in fact, natural the Stew might get into that team.
No, I mean that season with Purcell, Ox was just, I think that was his kind of best season for me, to be honest. But even like you say, maybe not as many goals, but
who's doing the job in the book?
Not me. But I like that kind of first season when we signed him and stuff like that. It just everything seemed to click for him, and I think we're needing a wee signing like that. I think hopefully in the summer, Ox.
Aye, listen, mate. There's gems out there. It's just getting them, you know. And listen, I'm not saying everybody has to be 6'4". I'm not saying that at all. But it's a combination. The game's changed, isn't it?
Aye, it's further proof. Like we were touching on earlier on in regards to money needing spent. Nacho Novo was another great example. Going and get him for a team in the Rain League at the time. You know, he obviously Rangers looking for a bit of pace, somebody that could get a goal. And as you said, Ox here, when it comes to money for value, I think we can all agree Nacho Novo was definitely value for money. You know, and these players are available in your own league and in other divisions throughout Europe that you don't have to always go out and spend, 5, 6, 7 million to get the quality needed for your league. You know what I mean? So, no, I think he's a great wee player, mate. And I think it's sort of do with profile. If you get a player that's hungry and wanting to make the next step, so both Rovers, Dundee, and then Rangers, that was Novo's journey in Scotland. But he played in the lower leagues in Spain, like he told us that night when he was on the show last year, you know what I mean? So he played at a level and just always wanted to get better and better and better, and ultimately got a move to Rangers where, all dreams are made. He's made it to the big time. He played in the Champions League, went to Manchester, had an important few sayings on the journey to Manchester and stuff, mate. So it's not about, as you said, luck's involved in it, mate, but it's not about going and signing 5, 6, 7 million pound players. There is players out there, mate, that can do a job for you in your league and ultimately possibly take that next step at European level as well, mate. And that's what we have to hope for. We need players that still got that hunger in them and that desire to go and be the best from themselves, first of all. And then when they get to Rangers, the journey starts there.
By the way, your memory will prove tricks. I didn't realise Novo was raised for 6 seasons, mate. There you go.
I see. But as I said, value for money.
How many goals do you think he scored? How many goals do you think he scored? Come on, give us a number. Don't mess about. Come on, GB, hurry up. Come on.
The 6 years, I'll go 30.
73.
30.
Well, you said he wasn't prolific.
I don't know. Right, okay. Good shout, Port Bear. 71,
Oh, well, there you go.
including 9 penalties, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, he started 141 games and 114 as substitute. So if you just take his stats, it's roughly 1 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Good return, mate. Good return.
Mhm.
Impact player. You know, I know
was
you've
that,
seen
mate?
it. Yeah, impact player. Great to bring on last 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the game when your centre half, your fullbacks are knackered, and the last thing they want to see is a wee bumblebee like him. You know, somebody with pace and always niggling. Because one thing he did, mate, he defended for the front, and he was a pest. He must have been a pest to play against. Especially when you've been playing the full 90 and you see this wee man coming off the bench just to annoy you even more and constantly on that, you can constantly be a danger in behind and nibbling at your ankles, mate. You know, that's sort of, that profile will always help a team, mate. That profile of player.
Yeah. What's in his first season was the best. Well done, JB. 19 league goals, 34 starts. Yeah.
His partnership up front that season was brilliant, Ox. That was just a perfect wee partnership, wasn't it?
I like Big Puzzle. I must admit, he was a good football player. He's one of the guys you wish he'd have got 5-10 years sooner, you know. In fact, I don't think he was playing 10 years previous to that. I think he was a car mechanic, but there you go. Listen, if you're trying to join us tonight, we can only bring your call in and Skype. Our whole system is changing and we're working hard to get it back to normal. So if you're on Skype, feel free to join us. And if you want to phone in, use Skype. It's not difficult to install if you've got it handy your devices. Come and join us. Look for Rangers Radio. Send a message, and you'll be in the call. So still free to join us, and it's still free. So come and join us on Skype. Join it, look for Rangers Radio. Send a request, and we'll bring you into the call. But Nacho Novo, fond memories. You know, he for a guy 71 goals, mate, but he's some memorable moments. I mean, obviously, the goal at Easter Road, 2005. He had the goal in the cup final, the absolute worldie. He had the penalty kick in Florence, mate. I mean, that just that Manchester brace yourself. You know, that's just football drama at its finest, and he was cool as a cucumber. You know, he had moments, mate. He had great moments. You know, and fondly remembered by the support. Yeah.
Oh, he's well loved, mate. He is well loved. Still gets loads of attention off it, all the fans, wherever he goes. Wherever he goes, you know, and rightly so, because as you said, mate, he gave us some memorable moments, mate. Even the goal against them. There were a few against them, but the one in particular I remember is the one he put in the bottom corner. In the left hand side, inside the box, turned bang in the left hand corner, mate. And he was a pest against them as well, mate. They hate the sight of him. And what I used to always love the fact he was in there, you know, speaking to Ariel, and then came straight for there, right over to us and signed that line, mate. And we got him again, so it always be that wee bit special for me because I knew he turned them back and off.
Aye, yeah. They love him. Aye, listen, good signing value for money, and I didn't realise he played so many seasons. If you'd asked me that before I checked out, I would have got it right, you know, which is very unusual, not GB.
No, never. Ox. Do you know what's funny about the whole that Nacho Novo thing as well? Like, as it stands now, when we're hearing that we're linked with players for Dundee, we're like, oh no, like, what we're doing, signing that kind of level of player. Yet at that time, like I said, we had Novo and we did go to them for Kinija and all that as well. Now, granted, Kinija was on a different level of what we're actually looking at, but it's funny how, like, even like a player like Novo, we were kind of sure on that sign for some reason. Yet these other boys that we're looking at, Dundee, were kind of, no, they might not be good enough. You never know. We could sign the two of them. They could actually come in and actually take a shot.
Aye, well, we do discard people quite quickly as a support, you know, myself included. You know, you take a dislike to somebody, it's hard to judge, you know, and you don't think they're going to be good enough. There's been loads that have risen to the challenge. There's some floundered, but I take your point. By the way, if you're talking about guys you'd like to have seen Cena and Karagia, oh, dear oh dear. Even though he was well past his prime, he still had it, and just again, we never got him 10 years earlier. What a player, GB! What a player, Port. Huh?
I do think he was part of that World Cup team alongside Diego Maradona, mate. And let me tell you, maybe not in, you know, the same heights as Diego Maradona, right? I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is he was part of that Argentina team who was successful at the time. And Caniggia was very well thought of and very close to Maradona. Maradona thought a lot of Claudio Caniggia as well, by the way. And, you know, Caniggia, mate, aye. When he came to us, you just look at him, don't you? And he just didn't look like a sports person. Like, all I do remember is great hair and massive thighs, but a dead slight, thin wee guy. You know, and again, came to Scotland, you think, well, is he going to go up for the rough and tumble of the Scottish game? But come in, mate, as we spell it, Dundee, and Dundee were Dame Melly, Gabrielli and that all the time, sure, if you remember right, when the Italian owners had them. And he came to Ibrox and you think, has he passed it? But he was past it, mate, but we still get every ounce of him. Because the professionalism of the guy, I think he didn't want to, you know, he never looked, he always looked tired, but he never looked, his professionalism, mate, that's what I'm getting at, his professionalism was outstanding. He went out and gave you everything he had. But what was left of him, and his touch, oh. You never lose that. They say you never lose that, but it's the last thing you let go. You know what I mean? But he was a great signing at the right time again, mate. And again, timing and luck.
What I seen when I saw his touch, it was like looking in the mirror all bit hip look bit, you know.
Aye, is that what you were like, mate? Did you have the long locks as well? Did you have that long?
No. Oh, well, no. For a period, mate, but
yeah.
no for a long period.
Do you know what? There's a wee pattern developing, right, boys. What I'm noticing is there's times when we've went to clubs, you know, to get players who were in league, and it has worked out. All right, there were stories.
Historically, mate, that's what we've done, mate.
Yeah.
We went and got players, and we didn't. The football was different, you know. You didn't have academies as such, you know. And if you get through the Barcelona Bears teams, you know, Peter McCloy, horrible. Just off the top of my head, quickly, what boys had come in. Goldstein had came for Hibs. Willie Johnson came through the ranks, but you know, a lot of them had played elsewhere. Alan McDonald signed for St Johnstone. Yeah, a lot of them are blue noses. Yeah, granted. You know, but we looked and we went and got players for Scottish clubs. Now the game's moved on. I mean, there was an interesting stat in the Bilbao game that there was more Scottish players playing in the Napoli and somebody at Bologna, I think, than there was in St Mirren were playing Ross County, which shows you're not shopping at Scottish clubs to necessarily get Scottish players who might be blue noses that we would maybe historically went and maybe tried to get. But we shouldn't turn our nose at it, GB. If it's going to improve us, we should think about it all the time.
Even just like it says, Ox just like getting goals, like seeing these kind of sticky games. Just who's that boy up front again for Dundee who's been scoring all the goals? Like, see, even just signing a guy like that, like we're struggling to get goals in a game, bringing him off the bench. These kind of guys would pop up and get a goal for you. You know what I mean? We're badly lacking somebody just to come on and snatch a win, Ox. We used to be brilliant at that. See, when there was games, it was like, we're getting to 80 minutes and it was looking as though it's got to be a draw, and we'd always do that substitution. Somebody would come off the bench and just grab the winner, and we'd be up the road with a 1-0 result. That's what wins you league, Sox. And it's like I says, they might not be the best player in the world, but they've got that kind of, I don't know, just that Scottish fit band them that they can go in and win a duff header and put it in the back of the net and get you 3 points and up the road. And these kind of guys we should be looking at, Ox. They're low risk buys. And clearly, if they're scoring in our league, then it means that they can score against the rest of the teams that they're playing against, Ox. So, we did really need to, let's say, start going back to a wee bit of showing in our own league. Because if we're taking the good players away from these other teams, then it will actually make it easier against these teams, because they'll want to go and find their next gem.
Using your theory then, mate, would you take the centre forward for Hearts that's out of contract?
Depends what we do with all our strikers, Ox. If we bring him in and then he's sitting as fourth in line.
You got any strikers, mate?
Well, Agaman, Dessers, Danilo. They're not scoring goals, obviously. Well, Dessers is, but depends what we're going to do with A3, Ox. If one goes out the door, then definitely I would bring him in, because he could have that moment in him to get his 3 points.
Who would you get out the door? Who's your choice out the three then?
I mean, as it stands now, like, it looks as though Danilo's well at the picture. So I would be trying to kind of cash in on him, because he's got probably a long contract. Dessers, his age is not helping him, but he is scoring goals, Ox. So again, you want to keep goals in your team. And then Igaman, we know there's a player in there. We know he was on a good bit of form scoring goals. So I really out the three, then I'd be trying to move Danilo on now.
I get that, because he's no featuring. I think that any of the two could go for me. And Dessers, I think this is the time. 2 years to go, his contract pot. Time to move on and put that behind us and hope we get somebody else in. No offence to him, he'll always be welcome back, but 2 years, you're not going to extend his contract and your asset is his highest, yeah?
No, like I said earlier on, mate, strike with irons hot. The guys, this scored goals, and we probably scored goals no matter what league he went to, mate. So, at his age, for me, that he'd be the first one that I would be looking to sell. And I know what GP's touching on, he's got goals and he's got 20 plus in his both seasons. But you never know what could happen next year with a new manager and a revamped Danilo, a pre-season under him, injury free. If he stays injury free, maybe the new manager, he might get a rock on his backside, mate. You know what I mean? And we'll get the best out of Danilo, because we paid £6 million for him, mate. And right now, you're not recouping that money back in what's happened in his Rangers career so far.
But again, what's it been with 2 years, was it? 2 years? So 2 full years. Mm-hmm. Michael Beale signed him, didn't
he? Yeah.
2 full years with no return. Yeah, you could put up an argument he was unlucky with the couple of assaults he had. I get that. I get that. But I mean, nobody wants to pick him, so maybe it's time to cut your losses. But trouble is, mate, he'll be on decent money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which, as I said, his stock's not there at the moment. So is he going to be able to demand the same wages anywhere else?
No.
Probably not, mate. Probably not. Maybe get a loan back to the Dutch league, to his previous club, maybe. But I don't know, mate. We've got a lot. We'll see how it goes. That's all we can look forward to, mate. And then your question regarding the contract Hearts striker, I've been pretty against him coming to the club, mate, because I just don't think he's any pace. Goals he's got, it's his pace, mate, that worries me. And I know over the last 6 months for Hearts, he was sort of playing a withdrawn, deeper role, and the goals sort of dried up. I don't think that's his game. I think Shankland's game is in the 6-yard box, mate, and that's where I've seen him at his most deadliest. And I think he could be that guy, that McCoy, that Boyd we're talking about, again, with chances created in your team and the amount of possession we've got. I think he would score goals for us next year, especially at domestic level, mate.
Okay, I've got my team for the people. It's I'm going for a 3-3-4.
Oof.
Right, so Alan McGregor in goals, Jimmy Nicholl, Dave McPherson, either side of Richard Gough. McPherson shoveling out to the left, utility player, yeah? And if it's not going too well with him, Jimmy will swap with him to cover him, right? Midfielder, Barry Ferguson, Jim Baxter, and Sir Stephen Davis. On the right, Kenny Miller. On the left, Bud Johnson through the middle, Mark Hateley and Colin Steen, with Chris Boyd on the bench. If we get an injury, Chris Boyd goes on and Mark Hateley, like he's done a couple of times, will go back and play at centre half. There you go.
I can do it. And I'll give you a manager, mate. Walter Smith.
There you go.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, manager.
Oh, some people are going for Jock Wallace.
All right, okay.
Oh, Bridgeman's just texted. He's gone for Steven Gerrard. He must know something we don't know. He must know something we don't know. Hey, listen, the boys have been working hard. They've got the phone lines gone. So if you called in before, don't be frightened to call in. Get yourself a mute, boys. We're going to have a tune.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Oh, I'm changing my team. Yeah, Kenny Miller's drafted. He's not even in the squad. Yeah, he's not even in the squad. I've looked at his CV. I'm not happy with some of his past employment, so I'm bringing in Derek Johnson. Yes, and we're moving. We're going with Derek Johnson, and we're putting Colin out in the wing. Yeah, which is unusual for him. But we've got Gordon Smith sitting on the bench as well, and then we've got players all over the park that can cover. What a team! Not a bad team. I forgot Big DJ left it. Did he play a lot of games when he come back? He left it. Chelsea and come back, aye.
Still meets the criteria, mate. Still meets the criteria.
Aye. Oh, do you remember the night back in the day we done the different generations, different eras, different decades?
Yeah.
Albert and his partner that night, they done their team and he played more games in a different decade. Comedy gold.
Yes.
Because he called me some names. Also, remember, you never got to say a word in yours, GB, remember?
I know. I think I was posted missing, mate, that night.
Oh, dear. How'd you go on HR, all right?
I just got to help, don't be a stranger.
A new card's invented, mate. It's called an amber card.
Yes. Well, he done a Gary, as somebody very close to him once mentioned to me.
Too fit it, jumped right in.
The lady from Castlebuck, I'll give you a clue, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep, mate.
Yes. Listen, aye. God, when you start thinking about it, there was some fair players, wasn't there? I mean, that was Derek Johnston, Barcelona Bear, Colin Steen, Barcelona Bear, Willie Johnson, Barcelona Bear, Sir Stephen Davis, some people's greatest ever Rangers footballer, maybe not the greatest ever Ranger, Jim Baxter, you know. Aye. Alan McGregor, up there with our best goalies. Richard Gough, 9-in-a-row captain. Dave McPherson, well decorated. Yeah, that was no bad team. Barry Ferguson, Sir Stephen Davis. How's he not knighted? Yeah, Britain's most capped football player. How's he not got a knighthood?
Never say never, mate. Never
Mental.
say never. Never say never.
You know, along with myself, we must be unlucky. You know what I mean? Not get a knighthood.
You just keep the wheels industry turning, mate. You'll get it there one day.
Oh, I don't know about that, mate. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Anyway, aye. Well, we digressed. So, it's a big game on Sunday. You can dress up any way you want. And people all say no more. And I get it. It's not going to affect where the league title's gone. We know that. It's not going to affect our league position. But when that the whistle goes, people are watching it, mate. The same feelings, the same buzz, the same nervousness will kick in. GB.
100%, Ox. And again, it can whatever the result, it can create negativity for a team as well that are maybe flying high. It can put that bit of doubt, and that's where I think it's important, Ox, that we keep our wee run going in the Old Firms. Like I says, it just creates that bit of negativity across the city. As much as they're like I says, title champions and all the rest of it, these Old Firms, once we get our house in order, then we know we can take care of them. And it's just basically concentrating on the rest of the league. And that's where we need a proper good manager, Ox. And that's why this game at the weekend is important, that we keep that kind of fit to the throat.
Mm-hmm. You never fancied Clement, did you? You had your doubts pretty early, GB, didn't you?
Aye, I did, Ox. It was just like, do you know what flung me as well? He came in at first and he says how he was going to get the players fit and working out and all that and build their bodies up. And I was like, God, this guy's got to turn all these players into proper athletes. You know what I mean? And just never seen it. The pre-season totally deflated me as well. Like how bad our pre-season was. The way Clement went on that he was going to have them running up mountains. You know what I mean? And we were watching the games, Ajax and stuff like that, and how he, with the kind of stature that he promoted himself as, Ox, how he sanctioned to go and play Ajax on a basically a juniors run was mental. I mean, I don't know why he allowed all that carry on. He allowed his players to go in a part that was getting tore up when they were running about in it, and then, like I say, was putting in the poor performances. When we looked a real deal with Stevie G, like I says, in that Leon tournament, Ox, we looked as though we were a team hungry to win, ready to go for the start of the season, fit, and like every player looked fit and ready for it. And like I says, the past few pre-seasons have been shocking. And I really hope, like I says, this one coming up, we actually see a proper ready Rangers team, ready to go and take on the challenge. Shows that like I says, there's a team there rather than just a bunch of individuals.
What there?
Aye, no, in regards to the game, first of all, mate, absolutely buzzing. I don't think there's ever a meaningless game, regardless how many points gap there is. I totally agree with GB in terms of I want to keep the run going against them, because if there's even a seed of doubt we can keep in their mind for next season, we go and beat them again convincingly, because let's be honest, the last two games we have beaten them pretty convincingly. You know, even that the final, I felt we were still the better team in the final as well, but we ended up losing. So we've got on form in them games right now, mate. And I know that people say the old cliche, form goes out the window, not carry on. But right now, we've got their card, and like I touched on in the last show, mate, they've not been our problem this season. Consistency's been our problem, and also other teams in the league's been a big problem. They've not been a problem this year, which is absolutely bonkers to think about. You know what I mean? In terms of Clement, I liked it. I bought it. I've got to admit, mate, I bought into all the stuff that Clement was selling at the very start of his tenure at Rangers. Like Gary, I was like, you know,
professional.
Aye, he did. He did. And when he got that pre-season, he always talked about these, you know, the synergy and the philosophy and all that kind of. I thought, right, here we go. A real manager that's been about the block, a job at Monaco, done well in Belgium. But like a previous manager, Paul Le Guen, mate, that's the sort of vibes I was getting near the end. Fine in Europe, done all right in Europe, but just did not get out of the league. And the end up, in my opinion, it was his stubbornness that got him the bag, mate. And I think even the players were wondering, you know, at times what's going on. They just lost the message, Oxford. And as soon as the players lose the message and he loses the dressing room, then there's only one thing going to happen, mate. You know, there's only one winner, and it'll be the players, because the manager will never turn a team around after, you know, when you've totally lost them. And at times I think the team looked disillusioned, maybe some of his tactics, some of his decision making, you know, some of his squad, maybe some of the players he was picking. The whole message was lost, mate. He lost everything in the end, which was kind of sad to say that. I wanted the guy to be a success, because I didn't want to get in this road of another manager, another squad get ripped apart, another rebuild. I didn't want that, mate. I didn't want that, because it's put us back so many years, all these different managers. And that's why I keep saying it's ultimately so important that we get this next phase of Rangers going forward. Correct, mate?
Aye. Well, he's gone now. We move on, and we'll see what happens. It's his squad, Michael Beale's squad, and obviously there's still some players for Giovanni. There's only really who's involved: Tav, Hadji, Stevie G. That's it, innit? The rest of them all pretty much went there.
Aye, Matondo maybe as well, maybe.
No, Giovanni signed him.
Aye, that's right, aye.
Giovanni signed him. Same time he signed Tom Lawrence, so the real value for cash out of they two, isn't we?
Terrible. In Sod's Law, we got Tom Lawrence. I mean, it's mental, Ox, how we took Tom Lawrence for Derby, and when he was flying down there, and he comes up to Rangers, and we get hit with what he's got hit with his injuries. Just unbelievable. The guy has been staying fit nearly all his career, and the next minute he comes to Rangers and he's plated with injuries. Murder, is a player in there, Rock Centre. I mean, you could see that, like, at times when he could switch it on. His early days of joining Rangers, when he was playing against PSV for us and got us into the Champions League and that, you could just see that if we could have kept him fit, Ox, he could have been a right good midfield player for us week in, week out. But whatever happened, when he took that kind of ankle injury, that was it. It was just never healing for some reason.
Aye, no value for cash. Matondo, pace player like him, there's times that we can play him, but a lot of our games we can't, because there's no room for it.
No, and I think it's blighted him. He's probably his whole career, Oxford, in my opinion, is that 11 million transfer to Cardiff to Schalke. I think that's absolutely destroyed that boy. I think it's followed him about, because he was supposed to be, you know, the next big thing for Wales, and he had pace to burn. He was scoring goals at Cardiff at the time when he got the move to Schalke, and at the time the Bundesliga were looking at English-based players, young, no doubt with Bellingham, no doubt with a few others, the boy Gittins that went for Chelsea, out to Dortmund as well. You know, it was a market the Bundesliga were looking at. You know what I mean? And I think they thought they'd another one with Hondo. It never worked out, mate. And I think he tried to reignite his career at Rangers, mate, and it's just not happened. It's not happened. And for whatever reason, form, no confidence, he's definitely got pace, but there was the end product. That was the problem, mate. you have all the pace you want, and all the skill you want in the world. But if you've got no end product, and then you've got no confidence to take on a player, a dribble or whatever, mate, then there's nothing in it. And he gave us some moments of magic. You know, the goal against him, score against that mob and all. Absolutely outstanding. So you can see he's got some things in his locker, but again, mate, I don't know where his next journey goes. Again, it's another one for me, cut ties and start again. That's
How'd you get him out, mate? Got another year to go.
Let's just hope the new management team that we put in place will be very shrewd operators, mate, in business, and get him a contract or some sort of half his contract to get him to go out the door, mate, and make him think it's a good idea. Because I don't think this new regime, mate, will suffer fools gladly. Like I said earlier on, great businessmen, great thinkers. They might be thinking outside the box, mate, and how to get rid of these players. You know, look, you've not a future here. You're not going to be playing. You'll be playing with the youth team, whatever they need to do next year. I think we have to start thinking about going forward and be a wee bit more ruthless and think about the project ahead. And if they're not going to be part of the project ahead, I think we just need to cut ties next year. And if it means to speculate, to accumulate, where we just pay them off, then we need to do it, mate. We need to do it.
Well, we've got a lot of squad blockers kicking about GB, haven't we?
Aye, for too long, isn't it? We've needed that money back in the squad. We've needed players in the park at certain moments as well to try and stop all these injuries that we've been having. And then we've had players like we've mentioned that just fell totally out of form. I mean, you're thinking. I mean, you think about when Butland was touted for that kind of England slot, you would never. You felt that was a solid position. You never had to even look at. And now we've mentioned tonight that there's a possibility we're going to have to look at a full new back four and a goalkeeper. I mean, it's just you just hope that says this new manager's got something in his locker that he's able to, or his backroom team is able to coach players and make them better. Ox. That's what I hope for. But first of all, like you said, mate, get rid of Deadwood. I was all for one about the Hadji thing, maybe give him another contract and stuff like that. But see, to be honest, mate, I think anybody that's out of contract, we just have to shake hands and say, thanks very much. This is a new era. This is a new start, and get as much money into the club as possible so that we can give the next guy a proper good war chest to go and try and build something for us.
It's wages. The wages. Aye. Port, you're right. You mentioned Dow and Ben Davis. It'll be interesting to see if they actually sign or there's a bid comes in for that team. You know, but just getting back a wee bit, Port, GB mentioned the manager. Who's the manager for you? Going forward.
Right. Going forward, right. So my two favourites are the two German boys, and it's Marco Rosa and the boy Daniel Farke, right? These are the two that I would love to see, either one of the two at Ibrox. My first choice is going to be Daniel Farke, and the reason for that is because he's got lots of British football experience. We're getting multiple clubs promoted. All right, people turn around and say, Port, he's been a disaster in the Premier League. But if you look back what he's done in the Premier League, there's a lot of teams being promoted by Norwich who didn't back him. And then when the Leeds come up as well, they didn't give him, the backing that he deserved for getting them promoted. And they also sold off all their best assets at Norwich and Leeds, mate. So just on the fact that Farke's got a lot of UK league experience, that's the only reason I'm putting him in front of Marco Rosa. Marco Rosa's got great pedigree in Germany and Austria with Red Bull Salzburg. So, and he's been at Red Bull Leipzig as well. So he's got that Red Bull connection, and we're part of it. We could be part of that same Red Bull brand group sort of thing through our American owners. So I do think he'll bring me a shout. But I wouldn't be disappointed with any two of them, mate. But my first choice, just because of the experience in the UK game, would be Daniel Farke. And I love his style of football, mate.
I don't think he's getting a bullet at Leeds. I don't think that's happening, mate.
Aye, but if it happened, mate, apparently they were looking at, again, the next level of manager that they could keep them in the Premier League this time instead of being up and down again. That's the story it was going about, that they were going to try and possibly look to a more seasoned, experienced Premier League level manager. But if they're going to give the boy another chance, mate, in the back them, this is the thing with Daniel Farke, mate. I think if you got the backing, and got the players that's needed to make that next step and keep you, consolidated in that league, I think he's still the man to do that, mate. I really do, because I think his football's excellent to watch. But as I said, I wouldn't be opposed to any of the two German boys, mate.
All right, what about you, GB?
I've been back and forth on it, Ox, but a lot with the ones.
I've heard that about you.
You're an evil man to me. The initial one of Stevie G being like talks, I was like, yes, get him back, bring him home.
You've got that tattoo.
Aye, and I've still got the big cardboard cutout in the garage. But
I can vouch for that. And there's lipstick all over it, and it's Lloyd's wife's lipstick.
But as times went on, Ox, and as the other managers that have been linked, I keep thinking, nah, I don't really. I think it's a good idea bringing him back, and it's purely just because of what the backroom team would be. I think you've mentioned on the show a few times. It's who he's got to bring back, and the management team that did work behind him have all been broken up now. They're all away doing different things. So I just don't know if he's got that same sparkle to bring in a team that would galvanise Rangers the way he did the first time round. So that's my kind of worry with Gerrard. The rest of the guys it's been linked with, I mean, the Rosa one, he seems to play good football, but again, when he was with Dortmund and you've got a Scottish team beating a team like Dortmund, Ox, and that's your manager, then that's a big concern for me as well. Like, that must have been a horrific result for him on his CV. And then, he's kind of, after that, it's been bit part kind of teams. There's not been like big teams. And then the rest of them, Marino, I think, is kind of shooting for the moon. And then the other guys like the Russell Martins and all that, like, no, it's just, I just hope we just go out there, Ox, and we get, like you've said before, we need to get a winner in. I've heard of the Sean Dice as well being linked now because of the director of football. I think it would make us hard to beat, but I don't know if he's got, again, the contacts and stuff like that to bring in players that will help you challenge Ox. I do think we need to bring in I don't know, like if we could break the bank, I would go and get a Benitez or something like that. But
why Benitez is team? It's him. Is the thing about Marino's 62, which is it's not old a bit. But what terms it's old, I know managers go longer now, but Benitez is even older, isn't he?
It's just that he's I know Marino, but like Benitez has been out the game for a while, so maybe it's a new challenge for him. Whereas Marino's in a number now where he's building a team and he's got a good wage packet going with that. The Benitez one, like I says, it's shooting for the moon, Ox. I can't even see him. Like he's always a name that pops up when Scottish teams are looking for a manager. But I don't know. The Stevie G one doesn't seem to go away. But if he does come in, Ox, my only concern is who the backroom team come in. To be honest, if he brings back Beale and all the rest of it and it works, then all will be forgiven, Ox. But I just don't know. I feel that he might be bringing in maybe guys that are a bit novice behind the scenes, and we can't have that. We need to have a proper good coaching team in that background to organise these players. Because let's face it, see the ones that have been there, we've had ex-players in coaching them. We've had Barry's guys in, Neil McCann and all the rest of it. They've still not been able to get a tune out of some of the players that we're trying to develop. So, what's Steven Gerrard got to bring in? I mean, he's not got much experience, Ox. I don't know. Where are you at with Ox? Because, like, I know you've mentioned that before, where you would go with your 1, 2, 3, but see, as time's gone on now, like, is there anything changed with the likes of the Stevie G thing with you? Are you in that same kind of bracket where you're like, I'm concerned about who he would bring with him?
I think the conversation have already took place, mate. The managers in football and all levels, they're usually selfish, aren't they? They've got to be in.
they've got to be. I was going to say that because ultimately they carry a can for everything. You know, the product's not right in the park. It's usually manager's head on the block. So you have to be. I don't think there's anything up with that. I think you have to be. You have to be absolutely ruthless, and especially in the current climate at Rangers right now, I think the manager has to come in and however it may be, mate. And after he's done his evaluation, I think the evaluation of the squad is going on right now. And like I says before, I think they'll know, mate, who they're going for. I think Steinson and the American consortium will absolutely know who they're going for. And I'd be very, very shocked and surprised if there wasn't conversations taking the person, because I've said it before, we're approaching European qualifiers. The league's, going to be far away, mate. And in football in terms, pre-season in the corner. I don't want to start the season, mate. I've said it before, behind the 8 ball. I want to hit the ground running, and and I think so. For that to happen, I think they've got to be in discussions right now, mate, with at least their first and second choice. At least their first and second choice, mate. Got to be. Do you not agree, boys? Do you not agree?
Listen, there'll always be conversations, directly or indirectly, in it. As loosely as would your mate be interested to somebody, listen, be naive if you don't think that happens, GB, but I think the support are just waiting for something to happen. We're in limbo, as I said at the start of the show, yeah.
Aye, we're one of two things. We're waiting for either the manager to get announced or the buyout to get announced. One of the two in the next couple of days would be lovely for me, to be honest. If they're either the All Firm or just before the All Firm would be great. I do think, this is the manager side of things, there would be no harm in announcing him, because at the end of the day, at least then it gives him time to actually have a look at the players. It might not actually be in the door, but it means that this is from afar. You can start looking at it seriously, what he's actually going to have to do with this team. I don't expect the next manager to be sitting in the stands at the weekend, but I do expect him to be sitting watching the game somewhere, and taking in who's actually up for the challenge. As for the buyout, I would rather that get done and then things hopefully just start moving quickly. Because like you say, things are around the corner. Champions League qualifiers. We need a good pre-season. We need multiple players in through the door. And we need to get that team to get an understanding of a proper tactic, Hawks. We need them to understand a new way of playing.
I should go up here in my coaching session. Ball in there, yeah. Defenders, ball. Keep it out that goal, kick it that way towards your mates at the other end of the park. That's football, isn't it?
Simple game, mate. I don't know why these managers sometimes just want to make the game so difficult and so you can actually sometimes the players look like they've not a clue what's going on. They just look dumbfounded. The game is simple, mate. Pass and move, as you said, clear your lines and get the ball from one end of the pitch to the other end of the pitch. Mate, simplify the game, make it easier, make it so that instructions are passed and they're passed clearly. Don't overload players with loads of information, because sometimes players just can't take it all, mate. They just can't take it. It's all right working on it all week, but it's all right working on your fitness side of the game and working on your positioning. But 9 times out of 10, these managers are in the players' ears and they're just bum, loads of other information. They're like, what the hell? Just sometimes I think too much information, mate, can stifle players and confuse players. Just the game's a simple game, mate. It's a simple game, and that's what I think we need to do back at Ibrox, mate. Back at training ground. Let's get back to basics. And the rest, trust me, with the right environment and the right purchase of players, and of course the right manager. You always talk about Oxford, the blend of the players. Get the basics right, and the rest that carry itself, mate. It's a simple game.
Aye, for some of the fans in modern football, I can't get my head around. That one, I think it was 2 weeks ago, when the Arsenal goalkeeper was in front of the two centre halves when they were knocking about 20 yards for the end goal. Close it, and the guy passes into the goal. I just can't get my head around that. You know?
Nah. Back in your day, mate, you'd get absolute roasted. You would get roasted if that was you were caught doing stuff like that. Some of the stuff in modern football, mate, absolutely baffles me. And I watch a lot of football, mate. I'm an absolute anorak when it comes to football, and I love seeing the evolution of football. I love seeing better kind of passing football. But some of the greatest teams we've watched recently, mate, and Guardiola's probably two of the best teams I've seen with Barcelona and Man City. But a lot of times, mate, I think their football it blows the shit off of me. Absolutely possession-based football, pass. It's almost like death by 1,000 cuts. It's like death by 1,000 passes, mate. There's almost so many times I can see the ball getting passed about and knocked about. It's lovely to watch, but it's the excitement, mate. It's a product. We keep talking about it. It's just, for me, sometimes, mate, it's like death by 1,000 cuts, and it bores the life out of me. And that's what I'm saying, mate. The old cut and thrust sometimes, it's great to see that sort of knocking the ball about. But let's get the ball forward quickly. The best one of the analogies that I used to love was Jurgen Klopp's, mate. Heavy metal football. Just that's the way, get the ball forward as fast as you can, load the box and get the ball in the net. We might win the game 5-4 and you might lose 4 goals and you scored 5. But that was his. He liked that. He liked that excitement, mate. And it's drama. It was like the Barca Inter game last night. The Barcelona and Inter Milan game last night, mate, was phenomenal. One of the best games I've seen in a long, long time. And that's Barca under a German manager, Hansi Flick, who's sort of revolutionised Barcelona's tiki-taka style and added the German sort of side to the game in it. And they look a great side for it, mate. They look a great side for it because, again, it's not pass. They've got that German element a wee bit different, get the ball forward that bit quicker, overload the box, and get the ball in the pocket. Did they concede goals today, mate? But they've got that attitude. If you score 4, you score 5. And I like that. That's the sort of philosophy that I like. And the product's great to watch. You're on edge of your seat and you're pulling your hair out your head, but it's great to watch, mate.
But you seem to have a leaning towards German appointments.
Because there's no. Look, mate, let's be honest. If we look at world football right now, and we go back to Klopp's appointment when he came in at Liverpool, he's a favourite to take the Real Madrid job now, right? You've got Hansi Flick at Barcelona. You've got Farke, who's got the teams promoted from the Championship. The Bundesliga, in probably the last 5 to 10 years, mate, has got their product absolutely bang on. And they've had a lot of young, successful. The Brighton manager, he's only 31. He was a St. Pauli manager up until last year. He got St. Pauli promoted from the German second division into the Championship in the Premier League in Germany, Bundesliga, sorry. And the next job at Brighton, and he's doing a fantastic job at Brighton next year. So there's definitely the wee spell of Spanish managers when you had Guardiola and all them, at the top of the football, getting all the good Benitez, they were all the top jobs in the Premier League. But right now, mate, it seems to be the German style seems to be the way forward. This is the way that we're enjoying seeing the game going. And not only are they getting it right on the pitch in Germany, mate, they've obviously got the stadiums are full every week. The pricing of their tickets for the games are excellent. You can get to see a Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund game for, I'm led to believe, €32, mate. Now, that's one of their biggest games in Germany. But they've got the pricing perfect, mate, so their stadiums are constantly full. There's free travel to their games. That's another thing they put on. They've got free travel going to all their games, mate.
I'll never take
make sure they're full. You know what I mean?
Never take off.
No, I get that, but you understand what I'm saying. That they're getting it.
I think we've been joined
on the pitch.
I think we've been joined by a caller. I think we've been joined by Will. Evening, Will. Oh, no. The police will maybe get him back in. Listen, mate, the model they've got, free transport, it's interesting, Scottish football, big economics, particularly the city of Glasgow, through football, mate, and they just don't want to treat the fans properly, and the facilities, the transport's not laid on the roads to move things away. Everything's all set up against you. It's just, well, I suppose we could have our Commonwealth Games, Oh, we are.
Wonder where that contract's gone to, yeah?
Aye. Right, try again. Will, I think you're on mute. Take your phone off mute, mate, and come and join us. Hopefully it comes in a minute, GBI. What a difference, I don't know what I say with you, but you could jump in the train to Glasgow, free subway for the centre of Glasgow to Ibrox, mate. 12 all part of your football ticket, Different world, isn't it?
Yep, a taxable thing as well, obviously. So it's not as if they don't totally lose out on it. So it's aye, the games I've been to, I've been to watch Bayern Munich and that, auction the stadiums and everything. Again, we were talking about the fan experience and stuff. We're just hoping time that we can get a bit of that and we get lifted up to another level. Like I said, the Rosa one, like I said, I don't mind it. I don't mind being linked with him. It's just I just worry about how he can collapse against like teams in a lesser league. That's what my concern is with him. Like how he could get out tacticked with ourselves, if you mean. I know it can happen to any team, but it's just that kind of way. I wonder that him coming into somewhere like playing against a St Mirren or going up to a Ross County, like could he handle that? Could he be able to break down a team? Or put up with, like I says, sloppy mistakes at the back and come back into a game? I don't know. And that's where the foreign manager side of it worries me. Whereas a British manager would probably make a team more sturdy to the kind of Scottish game and make them switched on to that it's going to be a rough and tumble. I mean, they've got to get stuck in, they've got to come hard at us and stuff like that. So I don't know. And the sad thing is, really, Gerrard's the only one that kind of stands out with a bit of success out of all the managers that's been linked to us with the likes of the British side. All the other ones, like says the Russell Martin and all that, I just think they're just weak appointments. I forgot to, like I says, bring in experience and all the rest of it, then bring in a proper good manager, a proper good British manager. Go after somebody that's in a role that's doing well.
Who then? Who? Put you in the spot. Who?
That's that, mate. There's no many, I don't know. I mean, one guy I actually did enjoy his football and stuff like that, and when I did see him was the guy at Middlesbrough. What you call him? He used to play for Man United.
Carrick. He's not
Carrick.
Yeah.
Aye. I always felt
but I get what you're saying. If you catch somebody on the way up,
Yeah.
The thing about Gerrard is the icon. If Gerrard was, I don't know, the different name, Joe Bloggs, and he had to play, you wouldn't look at Gerrard twice again. The ship with the sailed. It's because he's stalking how he stands in the game. He's in that level just below your. He's a bit of a brand on his own. Port, there's no money. Obviously, you'd Beckham and he was another one similar, but maybe not quite in the brand stakes as the Beckhams. But that's the thing. These other guys have not quite got that, is it? That's because they weren't the icon as players that he was. But it's going to be interesting, mate. And the people who are making the call, they're going to be paying for it. So it'll fall on their head. And whoever it is, I'll tell you this now, I'll be behind them and hopefully it works out.
Aye, like always, mate. Like always, my wee problem with Gerrard, mate, and always just massive kudos to a guy, right? 55. Loved having him in. I remember the day I arrived at Ibrox, mate, the stadium was full. Don't recall that really for a manager that's joined Rangers. That whole stand in front of the dugouts, the punters were all buying into what he had to say, etc. It really got us all excited. The icon of Liverpool became our manager, and he's the backroom team, everything all clicked, mate. It was great. But again, his stocks, since he left Rangers last year, GB, for honest, his stock in management has took a bit of a dent, and I think he went to Villa far too quick. I thought he should have stayed in Scotland maybe even 2 seasons longer. And then he goes to Halifax and it doesn't work out for him either. And he actually is supposed to get a £10 million payoff, then refused to take it, because that's the man he is. Refused to take it because we're facing relegation. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. For me, it's only my opinion, and I'm here to be shot doing that. I think that shows me, if it was a new regime looking doing that way, I think it's a lazy appointment. I think we have to be looking, like I say, go forward, and get somebody that's really, really going to change fortunes of Rangers and our club going forward. Let's start this new brand with a top level manager, the best manager available that we can get, right? Wages included. Let's go for that, mate, and go forward.
I get that, mate. But I'll go back to my point. I'm going to argue against you here, right?
Mm.
I'm not saying I want Gerrard, but what I'm saying is, if the people think he's the bit of the jigsaw they want to get their plan, I'm okay with that. Let it works out is up for debate, GB, because they're the people with the plan. Us as supporters, if they think he's the big piece of the jigsaw, yeah. He's for you. It'll be what you on the postman patch now? Are you away for Thomas?
Aye, mate. Yep.
Right. So he's the big piece, mate. That big piece, right? So the big piece. Right. But you know what I mean?
Right,
Sorry, mate. Sorry, you don't follow your leg, right?
I know. That's how I'm trying to concentrate what you're saying as well at the same time.
Oh, the banter.
Right, but you're thinking you've got that. If they want him because they think that he is that piece for them, yeah, I get that. And if they think it's important, I'm all right with that. If it doesn't work out, plans don't work to it. If they think somebody else is that big piece, I'm also all right with that. Because it's their plan. Crudely, it's their ball, and it's up to them how we play it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That is Ox. It is up to them. I just don't know if the fan base will, even with new owners and the new excitement, will put up with it. I know myself, Ox, if we bring in another manager and come January, we're all at that point where we want rid of him, it'll be another disappointment, Ox, and it's another season down the drain. That's. I just want a bit of what Gerrard broke for his very first season, where you could see something, and if I can see something, then I'll get right behind it, and that all comes for pre-seasons for me, Ox. The next manager that comes in has got to have a strong pre-season for me. We've got to have the videos back where we've seen the players out in Portugal, and they're doing their training, and Gerrard had them running nearly every day, and it was all like they all had their A&B pace setters and stuff like that. I mean, I want to see the videos, because see, every time you watch that stuff, you're like, he looks as though he's got them like absolutely running on empty because they hang. But yet when we came back to the league, they were all fired up and looked as though they were up for a challenge. So we need to get back to that. We need to get back to a bit of a standard again, Ox. I think that the standards have dipped dramatically since Gerrard left. I don't think the exposure of what we as fans seen, how he was able to train with them, what the interviews were like after pre-match and post-match and all the rest of it. We need to get that back in. We need to get that kind of connection back, and that's one of the things why I bring Gerrard back, because I think what it says, we get a fit and functioning team, and we probably would see something getting built. But my worry is, it's just like I says, that it might take too long again. Whereas the next manager coming in, if he's not been in Scottish football before, or he doesn't really know the British game, then he could be wet behind the ears, and we could be looking at another come on. But where we're lucky this time with the new owners, Ox, is that, like you says, if it goes wrong, we've actually got a bit of money behind us that we can cope with it. You know what I mean? We don't have to kind of worry about payoffs and all that. Not that we did the new, but like I says, the management side of things, whoever we bring in, is not going to affect financial fair play. This is why I think, like I says, if they've got a bit of dough, spend it wisely. Go and push the boat out a bit and get a proper top manager in. Because if they do it right, Ox, they'll get what they want, which is, I think, like Champions League. I think they want to see their brand across the mark in Champions League.
Who's that top manager? Who's your big jigsaw bit? The big bit with the squares you put in the middle in. Yeah, who is it? Come on, GB. Give us a name.
I don't know, Ox, because there's nobody. I don't think any of the top managers we could afford to go and actually get.
Right,
I mean, that's the thing.
So, where we're shopping, who's the name then?
Well, everything points to Gerrard, doesn't it? He's the only one that's got that kind of, like you say, charisma.
Is that based as he is the man, or is it based in sentiment? Port.
Good question.
That's always something Gary can ask me. That's always something Gary can answer. Sorry. I say to you, I absolutely adore Steven Gerrard, mate. I really do. But I just think we're in a different place right now, and I know what some people are probably thinking now. The budget's going to be different, so Gerrard will have a higher level of player. He's probably going to be able to pick for you, and there's all these wee other scenarios. But what I want, mate, I want serious money to be spent on the top candidate that we can get, because I think if you go and get the right top candidate, like I touched on, and if it's Rose or a Fark, that's just examples, right? If we can afford to go and get them, then get that top man, mate. Go and get the best manager available we can get right now, because that's where it starts for me. That's the standard set in management. So we've went and scoured everywhere, and we've got the top manager that this team has done their due diligence on. They've done all the background checks on them. They've looked at his philosophy, and that's with the director of football. That's the vision. That is it. So them two top, sort of, your king and queen are in place, and then the rest of the pawns will fall into place. That's what I think where it starts for the top, mate, because I think that's one model we'll use going forward. I think the manager will have an input on players, but I think this is going to be very similar with the day at Leeds and what the day at Leipzig and with the day at Salzburg as well, mate. There'll be an influx of players that will be picked up by director of football, a scouting team, and they'll be given a choice of 1, 2, and 3, almost like the Moneyball thing. That's what these the Fortiners brand have done with Leeds, mate. It's almost like the Moneyball. It's stat-driven football. So they look at passes, they look at runs, they look at all that information, and they'll go and get the players that suit that philosophy, mate. So that's what I'm saying. That's why the manager has to be side by side with the director of football, in my opinion, mate, and also the scouting team. It all has to. That synergy has to be there at the top for it to come down onto the playing field, mate.
If you're looking at top passers now, you'd be signing 11 centre halves, mate. They spend that much time with the ball, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Again, it's football in the Premier League, mate, that's blowing the socks off us all, but isn't it? But do you guys, I know I don't, and I think there's a lot of fans that are finding a lot of Premier League games, mate, kind of boring this season, because you're getting seen. I think it's Virgil van Dijk is one of the top passers and time on the ball in the Premier League. Why do I want to see centre backs with the ball the most? I want to see wingers and centre forwards with the most touches each year. I don't want to see centre backs with the most touches. You know what I mean? So that kind of football, mate, turns me off big time. And the Premier League's becoming a bore fest because of it. And again, Guardiola's got to deal with that because of Man City. A team that I like watching, mate, is Bournemouth. I love watching Bournemouth. I like Areola. I like his style of football because he's got a totally different style of football that we've seen in the Premier League. The boy Thomas Frank at Brentford. I love his style of football, mate. These are all guys, mate, that's the kind of football I like to watch.
He's done some job, hasn't he?
He has, mate. He absolutely has. And, I'm so surprised that some of the bigger teams, i.e. Tottenham, on the looking at guys like Thomas Franca or the boy at Bournemouth, Areola.
Ox,
Oh,
that's
it
who
is.
I'd push the money out for. See him. See, you're talking about who's the top target then. If they really want to seriously go for a right good manager, I would go after that Thomas Frank. I think he would be.
Well,
I would push the money in the boat out for him, definitely. See, if he came in, I'd be on the moon, because that guy, like it says, can properly build a team that can play football. You know what I mean? And I think he'd be brilliant for Rangers. I think he could cope in all fronts. He could deal with the league and he could deal with Europe, no bother. That's the kind of standard I'd be looking for in a manager.
look, if they need somebody to do the tactics, I've let them know all day part-time. They may, right?
Hey, you're a busy man. You've not got time for tactics anymore.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
You
Just
can be in charge of the budget as well, mate.
No. I would not go towards the end of the season night out, mate, if you leave me in charge of the budget. Maybe a Christmas do and all, know what I mean?
Is there somebody that floats your boat, Oxgear? Is there a particular manager or somebody you've seen in a league? Or is there a level of manager you think would be important?
No, because I think it depends what their plan is, mate, and we've not got that yet. And we've not got where they're going to go, you know. And we'll see that quite a bit. Well, we might get it wrong, but when you start seeing the signings, let's just say if you take the Brentford model, for instance, they've done a lot of their shopping in the Scandinavian market, didn't they?
Yep, markets
Yep.
nobody else dips into, mate. You're right.
They went there, and I think their owners are actually Scandinavian. I think whether they still are, I don't know. So that you come in and they shop to that market. So we'll see where it's going when they start coming in. You know what I mean? And we start shopping where we're going. Obviously, listen, we're not going to be shopping and paying, attracting the same guys that the Premier League clubs are attracting, because of the money they get for the TV, mate. They just can't compete anymore. The wages, their wages are gone for us. We can't even touch Brentford, which, I mean, they're a fraction of the size of the club of Rangers, but it's the league they're in. So we know that, and we're aware of that. Do we like it? Of course we don't. But I think there's things afoot, and that's why guys like the 49ers and all the other people, and I'll say this again, all the other people that are going to be involved, watch this space. There you go. We snippet there, Port Bear.
I know exactly the direction you're heading, mate. I know exactly. And it's no coincidence that all the American investors and other investors are setting themselves about all different leagues in Europe. Because I think there's only one thing going to happen eventually throughout Europe. I think that'll be revisited again very, very shortly, mate.
Yeah, it was a wee hint in there, G. For the other people, it's going to be involved.
Mm-hmm. And just right at the 5-2 mark, you mean now you've got everybody licking their lips, mate, wanting more. So you need to keep building this up now. But Ox, like you say, there'll be other contacts out there. I mean, we're only talking maybe the manager can only bring in players, or the director of football can only attract players. We've got other connections. We're got to be connected to other clubs as well. Maybe no like joined at the hip, but like I says, we'll be able to tap into like say Leeds, maybe Leipzig and stuff like that. Maybe try and tap into their talents. That they've got guys sitting about looking for an opportunity. Ox could be. I think we might see our squad filled with a couple of good loan signings next season as well. That will help us maybe get us up to another level. So like I says, no, every player in that Leeds squad's got to get a chance to play in the Premier League next season. So I'm sure we'll be using all our resources to try and, like I says, help this Rangers team next season.
I'm interested to see how it pans out. It's going to give us loads to talk about, Loads to talk about, in the next couple of weeks. Port Bearer.
Is your season's coming to an end, mate? Well, what's going on at Ibrox right now is and the other platform that's out there, plenty of content, mate, because the new regime are keeping us guessing, but it's creating discussion like this because we're all like, what's happening next? They're keeping their cards close to their chest, which I absolutely love. Nothing's been leaked, Hawkschair, which again, dead important to me. Nothing's been leaked for anybody, so everybody's staying professional, and these guys have been very, very shrewd, and I said keep their cards close to their chest, and I like that. That's all signs I enjoy, mate, because too many times before, if we've seen things and it's been leaked, or there's information get out and absolute BS starts, you know what I mean? But no, it's frustrating to be part of, mate, because we're all wanting some sort of news to break, but they're keeping their cards close to their chest, mate, and I respect that. I respect that massively. But content's what we need, mate, and content going forward, we're going to have plenty. So as we're winding down the season, if it keeps going the way it's going, then we're winding nothing down. So we just need to keep rolling, mate, until they announce them.
Aye, that's going to be interesting. Well, I can't believe where the times went. I'll let you get back to your jigsaw, GB, but before you do that...
it's Lego.
You've no go to the Lego. You're still on the Mega Blocks. Last word for your good self, mate.
Good show, mate. Again, excitement keeps building. Got a big game at the weekend that me and Uncle Portbear will be going to. So can't wait, mate. And like I says, hopefully, it's our Rangers win, and we can take that kind of bit of feel-good factor, hopefully, into the rest of the season. And hopefully, Ox, within the next couple of weeks, when he gets the announcements gone, mate, because if it's the end of the season, like I says, I'll be bitterly disappointed. I want some more feel-good factor to come out of Rangers. That wee clip the other day, the boys walking around Ibrox, just, like I says, lit the fire, mate. So thanks again for having me on. Great to be on with the two of yourselves and the boys in the Techie team.
Yeah. Portbear.
Aye,
Jigsaw, mate.
Aye, I know. I'll once we leave here, mate, I'll make sure I get the corners done, the edges for him, because just to make it a bit easier. You know what I mean? And then if he completes the jigsaw, I'll let him play with his Lego. Is that a deal, GB?
Sounds like a plan.
Aye, mate, no, always a pleasure. Great discussion tonight. Again, still waiting a wee bit of news breaking for Rangers in regards to the way forward. But again, mate, great show, great discussions, and thanks very much for having us, mate. Appreciate it.
We never even managed to go on to the team for Sunday.
More than the 49ers.
You watch, you don't have a slip of the tongue, you. Listen, thanks to Port and GB for joining us here on Rangers Radio. Fox and Old School Blue, who are working tirelessly to sort of the blitches of my new system. Thanks to everybody for listening. Rangers Radio will be back tomorrow night between 8 and 10, talking about all things Rangers. And if you're feeling generous with another goal, you can make a donation to Betsy's 365, William Hill, Ladbrokes, or any other bookie, because we will have Southside Super 6. Take it away, Old School Blue.